Like
the animation framework is here. I don't believe it is in all spots. We have our own effects framework in Orbit, but separate from that, most of the animations I've seen are just done directly on top of the regular Qt stuff. But I haven't been there in a long time, so I can't say for sure. And then actually, sadly, sort of some of the specific questions that people may have about where these fit together, I may have to sort of punt on. Because I'm really sort of looking at it most of the time from this level down. And occasionally it's been, oh, hey, this widget has a bug. I'll go in and fix it because it's faster than getting it on somebody else's Scrum backlog. So we talked a little bit about the scene-based graphics view. It's based on Qt's graphics view architecture, and there's a nice write-up of it in the Qt documentation now. The idea behind it is that the view is responsible for storing all the items and propagating events from the system event pumps that go in through Qt. Those get dispatched to widgets. All of this is rendered on a scene, and you get some nice things with the scene because you can go ahead and do transforms on the scene to do some of your animations or other manipulations if you want. The scene itself uses binary space partitioning for storing all the positional information, so it's very, very fast. And I was really sort of, oh yeah, go ahead.
Just a question.
Sure,
I looked through the source, and just for clarification, well, how did HB get out of orbit? I mean,
no, the naming-wise, no idea. Dan, do you know when that started?
I know originally HB stands for hybrid. I'm not quite
sure.
Hybrid, but that was the earlier name, HB. And
okay, thanks.
Yeah, that is a good question. Because if you haven't looked at the source, all of the I'm going to keep calling it Orbit because it's hard for me to say the other, or UIMO, which they've said they don't want it pronounced that way. Anyway, all of the classes you'll see for the Orbit framework all say HB something or other, as well as defining their namespace. So, and that's to separate, for example, there's an HB application that's the peer to a Q application, but for the Orbit framework. Anyway, yeah, so it uses the SP for storing all the objects, so it's very fast, and there's work being done all the time by the Qt folks to continue to feed in performance enhancements for this. You have the advantage that all of your coordinates are stored as floating point numbers, so you get better positioning, better scaling, that kind of thing when you want to manipulate the scene. And one nice outcome from this, and I actually did this just this afternoon one level further, and I can talk about it, is you can mix and match any of the Qt graphics widget classes with the HB widgets. So if you're bringing up an application, you can say, gee, here's this Qt widget that for our prototype, or because of how it looks, we really want to ship with this Qt widget. You can take a Qt graphics widget, drop it right into your HB application, and stuff just works. It may render a little bit differently because HB is providing theming. But one of the things that the Qt team is trying to do is trying to match the look and feel as well, just as they have with the versions of Qt that are out today. They look, suitably Avcon-like. That it's a reasonable thing to do. So we sort of saw before with that list down the side, but it's important to HB really is a graphics framework rather than a porting layer the way all of Qt is. So I know most people when they sort of dive into Qt, they think it's just graphics, and after about a week goes by and they go, wow, I can do my threads in Qt. Wow, I can do networking in Qt. So Qt provides this great porting layer. And then this really sort of patches the gaps to make a good UI for a mobile device. And it's based on, there's an HB base widget abstract class and an HB widget. And really the widget just provides, it handles the notion of containment. You've got a big box view and you're dropping some stuff in it. And it also handles focused navigation and focused traversal between objects. And that's all fairly well defined in how that works with the UI frameworks in something we have called our pattern library, which is also, I believe, has also gone out to Symbian at this time, or actually gone open source at this time. The widget class, HB widget, which inherits from HB widget, provides a base class for all the widgets. And really, with very few exceptions, if you need a widget, it's already there for you. It's a surprisingly complete set given where we are. From abstract button, you get a push button or a tool button or a checkbox. There's an abstract class for editing and then various line editors as well as a validating date and time editor. Under the hood, when you're actually working with lists and things, you'll actually find that Qt's model view controller paradigm is all there, just the way you'd expect. So you can have views that are attached to a model, and the view shows what's in the model, and then the controller can mutate the view, and the model already updates. And that's done through the abstract view item. And it's in data forms and grid forms. Most of the views bear a strong visual visual appearance with the old Adcon views as far as how you'd expect them to act. It's been all cleaned up, single touch interaction, all that kind of thing, but still, I found it just sort of funny when I was working in this part of the framework at the list view item. It's like, wow, this does sort of feel like, I forget the name of the Adcon control, but the one that just lets you sort of drop different pieces in different spots and ends up with something like a settings control. We have 2- and 3-dimensional visual collections, or sorry, 1- and 2-dimensional lists and then grids. And then, of course, we have the ability for you to create a pop-up or a dialog or a message box or a notification dialog as well. Talking a little bit about the layouts. One nice thing about layouts is that the idea is you just populate the layout, let the widgets figure out how big they need to be. And it's well supported in Qt. The layouts that HB or that Orbit provides, you have access to a linear layout and the QGraphics grid layout that will already provide, or you can write your own. And 2 more that we provide are an anchor layout, which lets you specifically just anchor objects next to other objects. You could have 2 things at the bottom of your screen for the touch bar or whatever, and do that by doing one and then the other if you wanted to. The nice thing is that Qt's already given us the ability for the widgets to just sort of scale, appear on the screen in the right position and in the right dimensions. Gesture support, we've already mentioned it's based on Qt 4.6 gestures. This is really very exciting because when I started at Nokia a year ago, it wasn't. The 4.6 gesture framework really was just sort of just something that people were thinking about. So it was really nice that there was a period of time where you really couldn't use it because it was being hampered and it was broken. And then by going back to 4.6, the widget framework is as you would expect it to work. Because of how the port works, Qt's gesture only operates with Qt touch events, which is kind of frustrating if you're working on a PC and want to use a mouse to prototype your app. So there's actually a separate set of gestures available that will actually work with mouse clicks as well under Windows or Mac OS. So you get a feel for where things are. I should probably mention that. I didn't mention that Dan talked a little bit about HB or Orbit being cross-platform. We have seen it running, as he alluded to with the YouTube video. We've seen it running in the wild on the N900, and that's exciting. For a developer, it's really nice that it also runs on Windows. And although the Mac port, I haven't run it recently, I have run it on the Mac. So you can do a lot of desktop development with all of these widgets, build the application you want to build now, see it, and then cross-compile to your target and do the final debugging on the target. But going back to gesture support for a minute, you can certainly provide your own gesture recognizer just by subclassing QGesture recognizer and then doing any kind of swipe or multi-touch effect or anything else.
So one thing I've heard previously is that there are still some source code tweaks that are needed to move Qt applications from Symbian to Memo or the N900. Is that still the case?
I don't know, so I would not be a good person to answer that because unfortunately I've done none of the Memo stuff. I have an old N810, but I haven't even brought the old Qt port up on it. That's a good question.
I would guess it's going to depend on how you go about it. You heard earlier that you could take this framework and bring it over to Mimo, and in which case I would imagine the portability issues are pretty minimal. On the other hand,
I was hoping to hear, but I'm just curious.
There is a competing project that is happening on Mimo, and so if you wanted to use both those frameworks, then you have all the pain associated with that.
Yeah. The theming and styling, it's interesting to see how it works, and that it does sort of the classic 4- or 9-way division of a given control.